Hello, stars of the second preparatory stage. How's it going, guys? This is our first online session this semester, and we're gonna have a quick revision on Unit 14 regarding the OL, and then we're gonna continue the following units. This is Mr. Yusuf, and let's start. There's a text in Unit 14 which says that Japanese students don't have a uniform at primary school, but they have to wear a uniform at the secondary school. In Egypt, we have to wear a uniform at every stage. So, what is the meaning of have to wear? Have to wear, this is an obligation. The school rules say that you need to wear a uniform. So, you have an obligation towards the school to wear this uniform. You don't have an option. The school will make you wear the uniform. So sometimes the rules are against our will. We don't like it. We have to go to school 5 days a week. He has to go to school on time. It's an obligation. If you are expressing the lack of obligation, like I don't have to, nobody will make me. We don't have to go to school on Saturdays. Nobody will make you go to school on Saturday. Why? Because Saturdays are off. So here, there is no obligation. What is the meaning of obligation? Nobody will make you go to school. He isn't late, so he doesn't have to hurry. There is no reason for him to hurry. So he's not gonna hurry because he's not late. So there's no obligation. There's no reason to hurry. So this is the rule. We use have to with plurals and has to with singulars. All students have to come to school on time. Number 4, Hassan learned this vocabulary because he already knows it. So Hassan doesn't have to learn this vocabulary because he already knows it. So he doesn't have to. My aunt has to work at night sometimes because she's a nurse. Don't forget to study this gray box. It informs you on how to ask questions in a formal and in an informal way. Formal way means you're talking to your boss, your teacher, maybe the school principal, the school headmaster. So you have to speak in a formal way. So when you ask a question, you're going to say, do you mind if I ask you some question? Could I ask you some question? We use polite expressions. Do you mind or could? But when you speak in an informal way, like speaking to your friends, you're going to say, do you? Or is it okay if I ask you some question? Or I can use can. Can you tell me? And then blah, 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 the rest of the question. So this was a quick revision on Unit 14. Now the following unit, Unit 15, is very interesting actually. Unit 15 is about global warming. Now, what is the meaning of global warming? When you walk on the streets, you see the cars. You see a lot of cars, right? And these cars use fuel, use gas. And you'll see a smoke coming out of the back of the car. So this smoke contains harmful gases such as carbon dioxide. Why is it harmful? Because it's produced in excessive amounts, not only from cars, from factories, from any fire. So from cars, from factories, from fires, burning fuels. This causes pollution, and with excessive amounts of carbon dioxide, global warming exists. So carbon dioxide is okay, it's a part of the atmosphere. It's a gas in the atmosphere. But the problem is excessive amount of carbon dioxide will make the temperature on Earth higher. The temperature will increase, and this will cause global warming. So what would happen if the temperature increases? If the Earth gets hotter, the ice in the Arctic and the Antarctica will melt more quickly. The ice in the poles far north and the far south will melt. When the ice melts, the sea will get higher, and this will cause floods. We may all drown. So that's the problem. Um, so the grammar of this unit is about the first conditional. Look at this example. If Ali studies hard, he will pass his test. So this is a possible situation. If you study hard, you will pass. It's possible, right? It's probably gonna happen. When you study hard, you can answer all the questions, so you will pass. But is it a fact? No, of course it's not. Maybe Ali becomes sick, or maybe he forgets what he studies. So it's just possible. So that's why we use the first conditions, possible situations in the future. We use the present simple in the if clause, and in the second clause, we use will plus the base form. Will plus the base form. The base form is the verb without anything, without ed, without ing, without nothing. Will is in the affirmative sentence. If you want to put it in the negative form, you will use won't, which is will not. You can also use can, for example. You can use may, not only will. If Mona is quick, she will catch the bus. It's super easy. Let's answer some questions. Make first conditional sentences. You go to London, see Tower Bridge. So if you go to London, you will see Tower Bridge. Okay, let's do number 4. They not buy tickets, not see the tennis match. If they don't buy tickets, they will not, or they won't see the tennis match. It's super easy, guys. This is the first conditional. Of course, don't forget the gray box. It's super important. It has expressions on talking about quantities. A quantity is like, for example, when you say the word half or 2%, 3%. So how can you talk about quantities? If you're not sure, you're going to say about. About, you're not sure of the exact quantity. About 1/6 of the energy we use heats water. More or less than half. More or less means also you're not sure on the exact amount. So maybe more, maybe less. So this is how you talk about quantities. Let's go to the review, to lesson 4, which is a very interesting reading text under the title of desertification. What does it mean? It means desertification means when you turn a piece of land, and this piece of land has trees, and you turn it into like something like a desert. If you cut down plants and trees, for example, to build houses, the soil becomes the soil will become drier, and the wind will carry the soil away. If this continues for a long time, desertification happens. This means that the area becomes a desert. Why should we cut down trees, or why would people cut down trees? Because they need the wood. We need the wood to build houses, for example. So what happens? Desertification happens. The soil becomes drier because you remove the trees, and then the wind will carry the soil away. So this is a problem. The seeds of the plants contain oil. It can be used as a fuel, which causes less pollution than petrol. Petrol is the gas that we use for our cars. So this is a plant called jatropha. Its seeds contain oil, which can be used as a fuel, which is very, very, very interesting. It's extremely interesting. Where is this plant? It's in Luxor area. So this is very helpful if you want to write about plants or about desertification. So study these reading texts. Now let's go to the following unit. Before the unit, let's check the review. This is a text that talks also about global warming. It's a disaster. What does it mean, disaster? Disaster means a very bad thing that happens. It's like a volcano, or like the global warming, or like a typhoon or a storm. It's a natural disaster. Like an earthquake. What does it mean, earthquake? When the earth shakes very hard. This is what it means. Let's go to the following unit. The water cycle. A lot of you, I'm sure, a lot of you asked yourselves how the clouds are formed. Like when it rains, why this happens? How does this happen? Billions of small drops of water join together and they form clouds. This is how it's done. And these drops are joined by wind. Okay, what about snow? How is snow made? Water drops don't always become rain. If it's very cold, it will turn into ice and falls to the ground. This is snow. What is evaporation and condensation? This is very important, and I'm sure you studied this in science, or you will study it, I'm not sure. Evaporation, when the water evaporates, it disappears. It turns into gas, from a liquid to gas, becomes a water vapor. Why? Because of the heat. Maybe the heat is from the sun, for example. Like when you're making tea. When you boil the water, you will see that the water vapor will come up out of the kettle. What is coming out of the kettle? It's the water vapor. Why? Because the water was transformed from liquid into gas. Well, with the condensation, it's the opposite. The water vapor touches something cool, like a cold surface, like a cold glass, for example. So it changes back into the liquid state. This is called condensation. So how are clouds made? Clouds are made by joining a lot of drops, millions of drops of water together. So I want you to check these two sentences. Millions of water drops form clouds. Look at this. Look at the other sentence. Clouds are formed by millions of water drops. What is the difference? If you noticed, millions of water here, it was the subject. But in the second sentence, it's not the subject, it's the last word. Clouds here is the object. Drops form the clouds. That's the object. But here in the second sentence, the clouds becomes the subject. Why did I change this arrangement? This arrangement is done because the clouds here are more important than the drops. Or I'm talking about the clouds, so I don't care about how they are formed. What I care about is that the clouds are formed. So when I highlight the object, I put it in the place of the subject. And then there's another difference, which is R. R here is not present here. And also form becomes formed. This is called passive. Why do I use passive? Because I want to highlight the object, so I put it in the place of the subject. So I'm not talking about the water, I'm talking about the clouds. So that's why I started mentioning the clouds in the beginning of the sentence. So clouds are formed in the sky. How do you make the present simple passive? It's very easy. Am or is or are plus the past participle of the main verb. Super easy. Let's answer some questions. Number 1. How many languages speak in your class? Ask and answer the questions in the present simple passive. This is done. How many languages are spoken in our class? 2. How many subjects teach at your school? So the answer is how many subjects are taught, the past participle teach, at your school. Super easy. On which channel your favorite TV show? On which channel is your favorite show or favorite program shown? The past participle. Super easy. Don't forget to study the gray box. It informs you on how to check that someone understood you. So you say, are you following me? Do you understand? Is it clear? If you can't understand what you are told, so you want to check from the teacher, for example, you want to check that you understood the teacher's explanation. So you ask him, teacher, please, can I just, Mr. Yusuf, can I just check that I've understood correctly? Or do you mean, and then say what you understood, and he's going to answer you. If you confirm that you understand, you'll say, I see. I see. It means that you understood. Of course, a better way to check your understanding is by asking you questions. If I asked you questions on the grammar and the vocabularies and the reading and the writing, for example, and you answered them correctly, then I don't need to ask you, right? Unit 17 is about ancient recipe. Recipe means how you make something. A recipe can be for food, mainly for food, but it can be also for soap, for example. Papyrus from 1500, like a paper from the very, very past, shows how soap was made by ancient Egyptians. They mixed fat with ashes. So they made the soap from fat and ashes. And then the reading text talks about, you can read it, talks about coffee that was discovered in Ethiopia and so on. What is the meaning of ashes? It's when you burn something, there's a gray material that is left, which is ashes. Archaeologists like Zay Hawass, he's a scientist that is interested in ancient sites. So who discovered this papyrus was an archaeologist. Look at this sentence. Coffee was discovered in Ethiopia. The original sentence is people discovered coffee beans in Ethiopia. But he said coffee was discovered. What is the difference? This is the same as the previous unit. This is also passive. Coffee here is an object. Now here it's a subject. And I use verb to be in the past because this was the past form. So this is the past simple passive. Coffee was used as a machine, as a medicine. This is verb to be, was, or were, plus the past participle of the main verb. Super easy. Let's answer some questions. Number 2, archaeologists discovered many important things in Egypt. Rewrite the sentence in the past simple passive. Archaeologists discovered many important things. So many important things That's my antivirus. Many important things were, because this is plural, discovered by archaeologists. A famous artist painted the picture. That picture was painted by a famous artist. Egyptians didn't invent stamps. Stamps weren't, what was the verb? Invented by Egyptians. You get the idea. They found the world's biggest diamond in South Africa. So the world's biggest diamond was found in South Africa. So you get the idea. It's super simple. When you want to highlight the object, you put it in the place of the subject. What about the gray box here? The language expression will help you to give a talk. So when you give a talk, you can start using this. Today I'm going to talk about, and then say the title or the headline. I will start by telling you, or I will tell you something interesting. This is how you give a talk. You can start using an expression like this. That's it for this video. Thank you and bye.